Hi there, welcome to kneppyinvests. A few weeks ago, I did a video on a company called Lark Distillery. First time I've really taken any sort of in-depth look at that type of company. And to continue on that theme, I decided to have a look at Top Shelf International, a fairly similar company than Lark Distillery, but it hasn't been on the ASX for that long, only about a year, just over a year. I think they listed in October of 2020. And as I took a bit of a close look at Top Shelf International, they are an intriguing story. Not only are they into whiskey distilling, they also have some other interesting projects on the side. And I'll talk about those projects during this video. But the main focus for me doing this video is just to take a look at the most recent quarter report they did release for the September quarter in October. So let's get stuck into it. And the first thing is having a look at Top Shelf International's business model. Top Shelf International describes themselves as Australia's largest and fastest growing premium Australian spirits company and largest distiller of whiskey. They have two main brands they do sell right now: whiskey, Ned Whiskey, and Grain Shaker vodka. And their sales ambitions for both of those brands, more than $100 million for the whiskey and more than $50 million for Grain Shaker vodka. Now, what really intrigues me about Top Shelf International has to do with the agave. So they do have an agave farms near Mackay or Bowen in Queensland. If you don't know what agave is, it's just the plant that is used to make tequila. And they are really trying to vertically integrate the whole process from the plant all the way to the end product, which would be tequila. And that also includes manufacturing facilities. And they also have fairly ambitious targets for the agave, 5-year net sales of greater than $100 million. Top Shelf International, founded in 2014, haven't been around that long, but that doesn't surprise me because when I did a little bit of research in regards to Australian whiskey, it's not that old, this whole sector. In fact, Sullivan Cove, which did win a major international whiskey award in 2014, which apparently put Australian whiskey onto the international map, was only founded around about 1998, so about 25 years ago, or just under 25 years ago. So not a very old sector, but it is growing in reputation. Top Shelf International listed on the ASX 10th of December 2020. I was out by about 2 months. I thought it was October. So haven't been on the ASX for more than a year yet. And the CEO and co-founder is Drew Fairchild. He has a 4.4% holding in this company. And the largest shareholder is OC Funds, not Orange County Funds. They have a 5.5% holding. Another major shareholder is Quality Life with 1.6% holding. And the reason I mentioned them is they also have a fairly high or large stake in Lark Distillery as well. The market cap of Top Shelf International at $1.52 is only $109 million, significantly lower than Lark Distillery. There might be some reasons behind that. And the ticker code for Top Shelf is TSI. Now let's have a look at Top Shelf's financial state, comparing the financial year 2021 numbers to financial year 2020. Revenue has climbed significantly from 7.7 million to 19.2 million. Gross margin slightly up to 24%, though they do have ambitions to raise gross margins to about 40% within 5 years. Now, the company is not operational cash flow positive or profitable. In fact, they're operational cash flow negative by $14.8 million and unprofitable by $10.7 million in financial year 21, which means they did have to do a capital raising recently. And before the capital raising, they were net debt by $5.3 million. Now, one of the ways you can look at these sort of companies is just to sort of gauge the value of their maturing spirits. And at this point in time, or at the end of the financial year, the net sales value of the maturing spirits in Top Shelf was $272 million. And the price to sales ratio, 5.7. Now let's have a look at the first Appendix 4C that Top Shelf did issue for the December quarter, just after they listed on the ASX. Receipts to customers 4.2 million, and they are spending a lot of money on product manufacturing operating costs 4.3, advertising and marketing 1.3, and administration and corporate costs 2.3. Don't have to spend a lot of money on staff costs, but a lot of costs there, which means the company is not operational cash flow positive. They were negative for the quarter by $4.3 million. Actually started the quarter with only $8,000 in cash and finished with $16.1 million because of the IPO, which raised $35 million. They were able to repay $7 million in loans. So one of the reasons why they did this IPO, why they want to list on the ASX, is to raise money for working capital, to repay loans, to expand and grow for the future. For the September quarter, the most recent Appendix 4C for Top Shelf, receipts have grown to 5.8 million, but still a lot of costs involved with the business. Product manufacturing operating costs 4.7. They've increased the spending, or actually decreased the spending on advertising and marketing down to 1.1 million, but they have increased the staff costs to almost $2 million. And administration and corporate costs, I think, was down a little bit from the December quarter 2020. But overall, they were not quite as operational cash flow negative as that first quarter, but they were still negative by $3.6 million. And because they do spend a little bit of money in financing and what's the other one? Investing activities, they were down $5 million for the quarter. In fact, the cash fell from $9.5 million to $4.5 million, and that's why they needed to do a capital raising. So that end cash does not include the capital raising they did complete in the past month. I wouldn't call myself an expert in this space of whiskey distillers or any sort of alcohol company, but I would think the value of the maturing spirits would be highly important to trying to gauge the value of this type of company. And not only did Lark Distillery provide this information, Top Shelf also did it. And they mentioned here $500 million in net sales value of maturing spirits over the next 5 years, including whiskey and the agave. I haven't included vodka here. And it just shows you how much, or the net sales value on a year-by-year basis in the first part, and then in the second part, analyze run rate of whiskey available for sale on a quarterly basis. And we do see that's increasing quite considerably through the end part of 2022 into start of 2023. So we should see cash receipts and revenue for this company grow quite considerably as we move from 2023 into 2024 and 25. And there's potential the market hasn't quite priced that in just yet. I think they're really pricing that in for Lark Distillery, but Top Shelf, for some reason, the share price has been going backwards, not forwards. So probably want to do a little bit more research on this company to try to understand why there's not a lot of hype in this company at this point in time, unlike what we're seeing with Lark Distillery. As we look at receipts history for Top Shelf, we only have 4 quarters of history. I prefer 8 quarters, but the start is looking quite promising for Top Shelf. Receipts have grown from 4.2 million to 5.8 million and consistently rising quarter on quarter. But at this point in time, you can't take a lot away from the cash receipts history for Top Shelf. And as we take a look at Top Shelf's daily chart, since they listed on the ASX way back in December of last year, not the best looking chart at all. In fact, this is a completely different looking chart than Lark Distillery, because Lark Distillery share price has been going up over the past year, increasing volume, more interest in the market around Lark Distillery than Top Shelf International, who has seen their share price actually fall over the past year and not a lot of volume either. In fact, during May and June of this year, the share price fell from about $2.10 to a low of $1.45. We saw a bit of a bounce over a 6-day trading period. The share price rebounded from $1.45 to $2.05, but it was met with very low volume. And whenever I see that sort of bounce on very low volume, it is telling us that it's not a very powerful bounce, and it's more likely going to fail, and this bounce did fail. Share price went back to $1.50, and we saw another bounce again on low volume. The share price didn't quite get up to the previous highs we saw with the previous bounce, only got up to $1.80, and then we saw that bounce fail again, and the share price has moved back to $1.50 and possibly is looking to bounce from there again. But the main thing I'm seeing when I look at this chart is generally a negative sentiment around this company, a low volume telling me the market is not that interested in this company just yet. And if $1.50 does not hold, it does look like it's a good support level at this point in time. If it does not hold, the share price will more than likely go lower from there. That's all I have for this September quarter Appendix 4C video for Top Shelf International. If you have any questions about this company, or you know a lot about this space, you know a lot about Australian whiskey, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this company and also your thoughts on Lark Distillery and other companies that are in this space. So leave it in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.